Hello and welcome back to Daily English Talk. I'm Ayla.
And I'm Jack. It's great to be here with you all again.
It is Jack, and today we have a really useful topic for all of our English learners, especially those at the A2 level. It's something you do every single day, and it's a perfect way to practice your English.
That's right. We are talking all about your daily routine.
Your daily routine. It sounds simple, but talking about what you do every day is one of the most common things you'll do in English. When you meet new people, when you talk to your colleagues, or even when you make plans with friends, you need to talk about your routine.
Exactly. And by the end of this episode, you'll feel much more confident using the simple present tense and all the right words to describe your own day, from the moment you wake up until you go to sleep.
So let's get started.
Ayla, before we dive into the main topic, I have to ask you about your morning today. Did you manage to get up on time?
Oh, Jack, that is a very good question. I did, but I almost didn't. I had a little moment where I wanted to sleep in. You know that feeling.
Oh, I know that feeling very well, especially when it's a little cold outside and your bed is just so warm and comfortable. What time did your alarm go off?
My alarm was set for 7 o'clock, and I hit the snooze button once. Just once. I gave myself an extra 9 minutes of peace. But then I knew I had to get up because I had a lot of errands to run before we started recording.
Errands. That's a great word. It means small jobs you have to do, right? Like going to the post office or the dry cleaner.
That's right, small, necessary jobs. So I had to get up, get ready, and then I quickly went out to do those errands. What about you? Did you have a relaxed morning, or was it a busy one?
Mine was a little busy, but in a good way. I actually got up a little earlier than usual, around 6:30. I like to have a slow start to the day. I made a cup of coffee and I just sat and looked out the window for about 20 minutes. I call that my quiet time.
Oh, I love that. Quiet time. That sounds like a perfect way to start the day. I wish I had more quiet time. My mornings are usually a bit of a rush.
Well, that's the difference between a good routine and a not so good routine, I suppose. But it sounds like we both have a lot of things we do every day. And that brings us to our main topic, how to talk about your daily routine in English.
Exactly. And the great thing about talking about your routine is that you mostly use the simple present tense. This is one of the first tenses you learn, and it's perfect for talking about habits and things that happen regularly.
So if I want to talk about my morning, I would say I wake up at 6:30 or I drink coffee.
Perfect. You don't say, I am waking up or I am drinking coffee, because those mean it's happening right now. For your routine, you use the simple present. I wake up, I eat, I go.
That's a very clear explanation. Now let's think about the structure of a day. We can divide it into 3 main parts, right? Morning, afternoon, and evening.
Yes, that's the easiest way to organize your thoughts. Let's start with the morning routine. This is usually from when you wake up until you start work or school.
Okay, so let's talk about the verbs we use. Ayla, what is the difference between wake up and get up? I think many learners find this confusing.
That's a brilliant question, Jack. It's a very common point of confusion. Wake up means your sleep ends, your eyes open. You are no longer sleeping, but you might still be in bed.
Ah, so when I hit the snooze button, I am awake, but I am not up.
Exactly. You are awake, but you are still in bed. Get up means you physically leave the bed. You put your feet on the floor. So you can say, I wake up at 6:30, but I don't get up until 6:45.
That makes perfect sense. So after I get up, I usually take a shower, and then I get dressed.
And then comes the most important part, food. We can say, I have breakfast or I eat breakfast. Both are correct.
And what about getting to work or school?
That's your commute. You can say, I go to work by bus, or I drive to work, or I take the train. The word commute is a great way to talk about that journey.
So my morning routine is I wake up, I get up, I take a shower, I get dressed, I have breakfast, and then I commute to work. Simple and clear.
That's right, Jack. And now that we have the basic structure, let's make it sound even more natural, because no one's routine is exactly the same every single day.
That's a great point. For example, my routine on a Monday is very different from my routine on a Saturday.
Exactly. This is where we can introduce some very useful words called adverbs of frequency. These words tell us how often we do something.
The most common ones are always, usually, often, sometimes, rarely, and never.
Let's start with always. If you always do something, it means you do it 100% of the time. For example, I always brush my teeth before I go to bed.
And then we have usually. This is maybe 80% or 90% of the time. I usually drink coffee in the morning.
Then comes often, which is a little less frequent, maybe 50 to 70%. I often go to the gym after work.
And the one we use a lot is sometimes. This is maybe 30 to 50%. I sometimes eat a big lunch.
And then we move to the less frequent ones. Rarely is maybe 5 to 10%. I rarely eat fast food.
And finally, never. This is 0% of the time. I never forget my keys. Well, I try not to.
That's a perfect example of how to use them. And the best part is that they usually go before the main verb. I usually drink. I often go.
This is a great way to make your routine sound more real and less like a list. Let's talk about the difference between a weekday routine and a weekend routine.
For most people, the weekday routine is very fixed. You have to get up at a certain time. You have to be at work at a certain time. It's a very structured day.
But the weekend is much more flexible. You have more freedom.
Let's look at the weekend morning. We already talked about sleep-in. That's a classic weekend activity. What else do people do on a weekend morning?
Well, I often catch up on things. That's a great phrase. It means to do things you didn't have time for during the week.
Like what?
I catch up on my reading, or I catch up on the news, or sometimes I catch up on my sleep, which is another way of saying I sleep in.
That's a great phrase to learn. Catch up on. It's very versatile. Another thing people do is do chores.
Chores, that means the small jobs around the house, right? Like do the laundry or clean the house.
Exactly. On the weekend, I always do the laundry. I usually clean the kitchen, and I sometimes vacuum the carpets.
See how we are using those adverbs of frequency again? It makes the conversation flow so much better.
Now, let's talk about the weekend afternoon and evening. This is when the social life happens.
I often go out with friends. We might go to a cafe or see a movie.
Or you might visit family. You can say, I visit my parents every Sunday.
And what about the evening? Sometimes I stay up late on a Saturday.
Stay up late is another excellent phrase. It means you don't go to bed at your usual time. You stay awake past your normal bedtime. You can say, I stay up late on Friday nights to watch a football match.
And then, because I stay up late, I need to sleep in the next morning. It all connects.
It does. So let's quickly recap the new verbs and phrases we've added to our routine list. Catch up on, do chores, do the laundry, clean the house, go out, and stay up late.
That's a lot of new vocabulary. And remember, all of these are used with the simple present tense when you talk about your regular habits.
Let's practice using them in a short dialogue. Imagine two neighbors, Maria and David, talking on a Sunday morning.
Good morning, David. Are you running errands today?
No, not today. I usually run errands on Saturday. Today, I'm going to catch up on some reading. I rarely have time during the week.
I know that feeling. I always do the laundry on Sunday morning. It's part of my fixed routine.
I see. Well, I hope you take a break later. I'm going to go out for dinner tonight, so I'll probably stay up late.
It sounds like a fun weekend. Enjoy your reading.
That dialogue is full of the new words we learned, and it sounds completely natural. Notice how they use usually, rarely, and always to describe their habits.
It's a great way to practice. And remember, you can change the words to talk about your own life. Instead of do the laundry, maybe you wash the car. Instead of go out, maybe you play video games.
The structure is the same. The verbs change. Now, let's move on to our next section, where we will give you a few more practical examples to listen to. This will help you train your ear to hear these phrases in real-life English.
That's a great idea. Let's listen to how this sounds in a few more common situations.
Let's focus on the small but very important words, the prepositions of time. These are words like at, in, and on. They help us be very clear about when we do something.
I remember these were confusing when I first learned English. Can you give us a simple rule?
I can try. Think of it like this. We use at for a very specific time, like a clock time. We use on for a specific day, like a day of the week. And we use in for longer periods, like the morning, the afternoon, or a month.
So I would say I wake up at 7 o'clock.
Perfect. And you would say, I have a meeting on Tuesday.
And I would say I usually work in the afternoon.
Exactly. At a specific time, on a specific day, in a part of the day. Let's listen to a short conversation that uses these prepositions correctly.
Imagine a student, Ben, talking to his teacher, Miss Lee.
Ben, what is your study routine like?
I always study in the evening. I start at 7:30.
Do you study on the weekend?
Yes, I sometimes study on Sunday morning, but I never study on Saturday.
That sounds like a good routine. Remember to take a break.
That sounds very natural. The prepositions make the timing very clear. Now let's listen to a final example. This one is about making plans.
Imagine two friends, Chloe and Liam, trying to meet up.
Do you want to go out for dinner this week?
Maybe. I'm very busy on Wednesday. I have to do chores after work.
What about Thursday? I usually wind down early on Thursday.
Thursday's good. I can meet you at 6 o'clock. I rarely stay up late on a weekday.
Great. Let's meet at 6 o'clock on Thursday.
See how they use the prepositions to organize their plans? On Thursday at 6 o'clock. It's simple, but it's the key to clear communication.
And notice how they use the vocabulary we learned. Go out, do chores, wind down, and stay up late. You're already hearing these words in a real-life context.
We hope these examples help you to not only understand the words, but also to hear the rhythm of a natural English conversation. Remember, you can pause the podcast and repeat the dialogues to yourself. That is excellent practice.
Now, let's move on to our vocabulary review. We've used a lot of great words today, and we want to make sure you understand them all perfectly.
It is. Now, let's move to the afternoon routine. This is usually the time you are working or studying.
In the afternoon, I usually have lunch around 1 o'clock, and then I work on my computer or I attend meetings.
And it's very important to remember to take a break. A break is a short rest. You can say, I take a break at 3 o'clock, or I go for a walk during my break.
That's a good advice. I often forget to take a break. And then the afternoon ends and we have the evening routine.
The evening routine is when you finish your work and start to relax. You might go home, or if you work from home, you might just finish your work.
Then I usually make dinner or cook dinner, and then I eat dinner with my family.
And after dinner, people do many different things. They might watch TV, they might read a book, or they might do the dishes.
I often do some exercise in the evening, like going to the gym. And then, before bed, I like to wind down.
Wind down is a fantastic phrase. It means to relax slowly before you go to sleep. What do you do to wind down, Jack?
I usually listen to some quiet music or read a book. I try not to look at my phone for the last hour. That helps me fall asleep faster.
That's a very healthy routine. And finally, you go to bed and you go to sleep.
So we have covered the whole day, morning, afternoon, and evening. It's all about using those simple present tense verbs.
Now let's imagine a few real-life situations where you might hear or use these phrases. This will help you practice your listening and speaking.
Let's listen to a short conversation between two friends talking about their weekend plans. Listen for the routine words.
Imagine two friends, Sarah and Tom.
What do you usually do on Saturday mornings, Tom?
I sleep in until 9 and then I go for a run. After that, I have a big breakfast.
That sounds nice. I have a busy routine. I get up early and I run errands for my mother.
Oh, that's a lot of work. When do you take a break?
I take a break in the afternoon. I usually watch a movie.
See how natural that sounds? They are just using simple verbs and time expressions. Let's try another one, a conversation between two colleagues at work.
Imagine Mark and Lisa are talking about their evening.
I'm so tired. I had a long commute home yesterday.
Oh, I know. What do you do when you get home to wind down?
I usually make dinner right away. Then I read a book for an hour before I go to bed.
That's a good idea. I just watch TV until I fall asleep.
These short dialogues show you that you don't need long, complicated sentences to talk about your routine. Simple sentences are perfect. And remember, you can use words like usually, often, and sometimes to talk about how frequently you do something.
For example, I usually have coffee in the morning, or I sometimes sleep in on the weekend.
Exactly. Now, let's take a moment to look closely at some of the key words and phrases we've used today. These are words that will make your English sound much more natural.
Now, let's take a moment to look closely at some of the key words and phrases we've used today. These are words that will make your English sound much more natural.
We have a lot of great words, Jack. Let's start with the morning. We talked about wake up and get up. Remember, wake up is when your sleep stops, and get up is when you leave the bed.
That's a crucial difference. And then we had the wonderful phrase, sleep in.
To sleep in means you sleep later than you usually do. It's a very nice thing to do on a Saturday or Sunday. For example, I sleep in until 9 a.m. on my days off. It's a luxury.
It is. Next, let's talk about the journey to work or school. Commute.
Commute can be a noun, like my commute is 30 minutes, or a verb, like I commute by train. It's a very common word, especially in big cities. If someone asks, how do you get to work, you can simply answer, I commute.
Very useful. And then we had run errands.
Yes, errands are those small, necessary jobs. Think of it like a list of small tasks you need to complete outside the house. You don't usually say, I do errands. You say, I run errands. It's a fixed phrase. For example, I need to run errands this afternoon, like going to the bank and the grocery store.
Run errands. I like that. It sounds active. Now, let's look at the phrases we use during the day. The first one is take a break.
Take a break is simple but important. It means to stop working for a short time to rest. You can take a break for 5 minutes, or you can take a break for an hour for lunch. It's a pause in your work. It's essential for your health.
It is. And then we introduced catch up on. This is a great phrasal verb.
To catch up on something means to do something you didn't have time for earlier. You are trying to reach the current level. For example, I need to catch up on my emails, or I will catch up on the news this weekend. It's a very natural way to talk about unfinished tasks.
That's a great explanation. And what about the household tasks? We use the phrase do chores.
Chores are the small jobs around the house. You can say, I do chores every Saturday. We also mentioned specific chores, like do the laundry and clean the house. You can use the general phrase do chores if you don't want to list everything.
So instead of saying, I wash the clothes and clean the kitchen, I can just say, I do chores. Much easier.
Exactly. Now, let's move to the evening. We talked about go out.
To go out simply means to leave your house to go somewhere social or for entertainment. I go out with my friends on Friday night. You can go out for dinner or you can go out to a concert.
And then the opposite of getting up early, stay up late.
To stay up late means you don't go to bed at your usual time. You stay awake past your normal bedtime. You can say, I stay up late on Friday nights to watch a football match.
And then before you finally go to sleep, you need to wind down.
To wind down means to relax slowly after a busy or stressful day. You're preparing your mind and body for sleep. You might listen to music or you might have a cup of tea. It's a very peaceful activity.
And finally, the very important phrase for the morning, set an alarm.
To set an alarm means to tell your phone or your clock what time to make a noise so you wake up. You set the alarm for the time you want to wake up. You can also say, I forgot to set my alarm, which is a terrible feeling.
It is a terrible feeling. So we have wake up, get up, sleep in, commute, run errands, take a break, catch up on, do chores, go out, stay up late, wind down, and set an alarm. 12 great phrases for your A2 vocabulary list. We hope you will start using them today.
Now, before we finish, we have our question of the day. This is your chance to practice your English and think about what you've learned.
Today's question is simple. What is the first thing you do when you get up in the morning?
Think about it. What is the very first action you take after you leave your bed? Answering this question is a great way to practice the simple present tense and those new vocabulary words.
For example, you could say, the first thing I do is make a cup of tea. Or, I immediately check my phone.
Or, if you want to use one of our new phrases, you could say, I set an alarm for 6:30, and the first thing I do is hit the snooze button.
That's a very honest answer. We encourage you to write down your answer, or even better, say it out loud to yourself. Practice makes perfect.
It really does. So, to quickly recap, today we talked about your daily routine. We learned that the simple present tense is your best friend for this topic. We divided the day into morning, afternoon, and evening.
And we learned some great new phrases like sleep in, commute, and wind down. Remember to use them in your own conversations this week.
Don't worry if you don't remember everything right away. Just listen to this episode again and try to focus on one or two new phrases each time. Repetition is key to learning.
Thank you so much for joining us for Daily English Talk. We hope you feel more confident talking about your day now.
We do. We love hearing from you, so please share your answer to the question of the day wherever you listen to our podcast.
Until next time, keep practicing your English.
Goodbye for now.
Goodbye.